Yo, what's going on, builders? In this video, I'm going to demonstrate real quickly how I use toothpicks to do fine detail painting. Let's jump into it. Alright, so I got these Zaku inner frame shoe parts all dry brushed and done up. I did the, sorry, I'm shaking my paint. I did the gunmetal X10 as a base, and went over that with the X11 silver and got some nice, silver tones going on here. But I want to bring out those shock pieces right there. Same with the ones on top. So we're gonna do a little bit of detail painting with a toothpick to see if we can bring that out a little bit. So once you get your paint shaken, let it sit upside down just for a second. And while it's doing that, find the sharpest toothpick you can find in your little selection box, and then get an X-Acto and sharpen it just a little bit more. You kind of just want to get like a nice fine point. You just want to get a nice fine point on your toothpick, if it'll focus there. And you can see there's still some pigment on there from last time, but that is a-okay. As long as you got a sharp point, you are good. So let's go ahead and crack open the paint. Okay, so unscrew your paint, and we're gonna be drawing the paint from the cap like usual. Find your toothpick and get it saturated. You want to get kind of like a dot of paint on there. Not a lot, but enough to work with. So we're going to do the ones on the bottom for demonstration purposes because they're much larger than the ones at the top, which I also want to tackle. Not sure if we're going to in this video. But basically, I learned this technique from Julie Like Zaku on Instagram, and she's way better at it than I am. She's like pro. But I still use this technique to kind of do fine detail parts because it really does come in handy and it's super easy. So get a little bit of paint on there, and then I learned this from her. Put your initial pigment like in the middle of the piece you're painting, and then pull the paint outwards towards where you want it. So right now I don't have enough paint on here, so I'm actually going to dip it in here, which is something I don't normally do. But really what I found is you want to kind of get the Q-tip, the toothpick about as saturated as like a one of those, I can't think of it right now, one of those fine point Molotow paint markers. Really any fine point paint marker. If you've ever seen them, some, instead of coming with a normal nib, will come with a plastic nib. So you can do kind of more sharper lines or whatever. And you want to kind of mimic that with this, but the major difference is you don't have, a whole thing of paint behind you, and you got to keep dipping back in here. That's okay, because then you can much easily change your color. So as you can see, I'm just kind of saturating this part that I want to bring out. Hope you guys can see that. I got a little carried away. And I'm just putting the paint in the middle and then drawing it outward. And just kind of bringing out this piece. And it's not perfect, but it does the job. So when the armor flexes and this piece is exposed, at least there's some extra color there to kind of, give you the impression of realism. Unfortunately, the cap didn't seem to pick up enough of this paint. I don't know why that is. We're gonna give it one more shake here. This video is a lot longer than I wanted it to be originally. This is usually a really quick thing. So we only got a little bit left of this surface to hit here. So we got our toothpick nice and saturated now. And the Tamiya acrylic paint works nicely with this technique. It seems to just kind of flow into the areas you want it to. Not exactly, you gotta push some of it, but it does a nice job at laying itself down. All right, so it's not perfect, but it's looking pretty good. So when the paint dries, that panel line that was there will come back. The paint dries pretty nicely. And like that part up there, you guys can probably tell, like it's not perfect, but once you put the armor on, you won't even see that from the top. You're only gonna be looking at it from down here, and that's very, very rarely. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that one good. And we're gonna do one more for demonstration purposes, of course. So same as always, or same as last time rather. You want to get your paint somewhere in the middle and then just begin pulling it outwards. And this technique's great for what I call static pistons, which is what we're painting here. And these are pistons that don't move. So if your pistons are, static and they're not moving at all, then this is a really cool way to, bring out some detail. If they're not static and they do move, like the ones we did in the last video, then you can more easily dry brush the individual parts instead of doing detail painting. But in a lot of my kits, I like to employ kind of a little bit of both, to wherever the technique seems valid to use. And when you do toothpick paint, you're laying down a decent layer of paint, so you do want to give it some time to dry. So I probably won't touch these two shoes now for like about 24 hours. As you can see, it's a very quick, easy process. This is something that I was doing like with my very, very, like when I first got into detail painting, this is like the first thing I tried. Just because all you need are the toothpicks and the paint. It's very cheap and very easy. And we're almost done with this piece. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side of the other one. And then if I can hold it in the correct position, I might try to do the small ones real fast on the top. But those ones aren't as important because I'm pretty sure that those will be completely covered up by the end of the build. And I don't know if you could see it, we had like a little shallow paint portion there, and I was able to just kind of dip my toothpick in there and fill it right back in. So it's not looking too shabby. This upper part up here is a little harder to get, but I'm gonna call that good. I'm gonna cut my losses as I normally say, and it looks good, so I'm not gonna, not do any more and, fuck it up. So let's put that in a secure place where it can dry. And we'll do the other piece. And it's drying pretty nicely. That panel line isn't going back like I thought it would, but honestly, I don't really care. So that's just the way I build. It's all gravy. Gun plus freedom. All right, so I'm gonna do this other piece real quick, and my paint's kind of drying up in the caps. As you saw there, I had to stir it up a little bit. I think just to be safe and get the same quality that we've been getting on the other two, give this a quick shake. Now, this is going to be part of kind of a series of videos that I'm working on that I teased a while back on Instagram, but the idea I had, and it just wasn't working out like I thought. And so this is going to be part of that series that I'm finally getting around to starting, and it's basically a guide to a better straight build. And I'm going to be showing you guys all the techniques that I use when I build my master grades to make them look how they look. And that includes frame painting, weathering, and decals, pretty much like those three things. But yeah, so this is one of those steps. that I do on pretty much all my master grade kits. So I just paint these pistons up to give these kits a little bit more life. Alright, so I don't know why the light's not getting along with me here, but it's not looking too bad. We're just gonna cover up this part. And you can kind of like dab the paint instead of dragging it. Try both. I need to use both at some point. So there I'm kind of dabbing it into place. And when you dab it, it will kind of join the rest of the paint and kind of level itself, which is very nice. So there we go. Not too bad. I'm gonna wait to do the top portion so I don't accidentally touch something and mess it up. But I'm gonna let that sit and dry for at least 12 hours, probably 24, and work on something else. But there you go. The shocks are now painted up on here, and we are ready to move on to the next step. So I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. And thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Hit that like button and the subscribe button if you don't mind. Yeah, that'd be dope. All right, peace out, guys.